But locally, we're talking about these today. Smartphones and how more than 4,000 children across 375 schools in Sussex have signed a smartphone-free childhood pact with their parents.
Smartphone, social media, it's an adult product, an adult device, so let's let children have their childhoods.
My children should have time developing relationships face-to-face without looking at a phone.
This is part of a grassroots campaign calling for laws banning children from having devices before the age of 14. It's all because of concerns about the impact that smartphones have on developing brains.
The problem is it's the addictive nature, it's the algorithms. You engage in something, you'll get more of it. And for children where their brains are still underdeveloped and it's overwhelming.
Alongside that, there's a bill calling for a ban on smartphones in schools, which was introduced in Parliament yesterday by the MP and former teacher Josh McAllister. Our education editor Branwyn Jeffries has more.
Secondary schools in England are already advised to restrict access to smartphones, with some operating a not seen, not heard policy and others insisting phones are handed in. The MP, Josh McAllister, wants a legal ban on pupils using phones in schools. The private member's bill also calls for the age at which teenagers can consent to their data being used to be raised from the current age of 13 to 16. The MP argues this would reduce inappropriate material being repeatedly pushed by algorithms onto teenagers' screens, where apps are deemed to be addictive by design.
I've seen the impact the boom in smartphone use has had and the amount of doom scrolling children are experiencing, and it's having a massive effect on kids' mental health, on their sleep and on their education. And around the world, governments are taking action on this, and I think it's time in the UK we have the debate here.
In a moment, we'll hear from two Sussex mums on this issue. But first, here's what parents have been telling the BBC.
It's something that more and more parents are voicing and raising their concerns, coming together and realising it's no longer something that we can just push under the carpet. It's now about coming together as a community, parents, schools, children, and taking action and making these changes and allowing children to be smartphone free so they can enjoy their childhoods. And you know, smartphones, social media, it's an adult product, an adult device. So let's let children have their childhoods.
I do try to ensure that I don't spend time scrolling on my phone in front of my children, that we sit down and have dinner together and that we have a conversation, and I am able to show them that I am able to hold my concentration and spend time with them and focus on one thing. I noticed a figure the other day that said that the average teenager now spends 65% time less with their friends than they used to, and that really worries me as a mum. My children should have time developing relationships face to face without looking at a phone.
I think we need to start looking at mental health, the increasing anxiety, depression and other mental health conditions that are increasing. In 10, 20 years' time, this is our generation who are going to be our workforce, our carers. This is the future. And if everyone is overstressed, overwhelmed and not able to think straight because they've just been too much online, addicted to their screens, goodness knows what the world is going to be like. We need to act now, not next week, not next month, not next year, because every day that goes past is another day that a child is being harmed, another day that a child is getting addicted to their phone.
And listen to that, two Sussex mums who join us. First, Amanda Walderman from Sussex, who has twin boys, about to turn 9, and wants to keep them off the smartphones till 14. Amanda, do you think you'll make it? Good morning.
Hello. Well, I hope so. And I spoke to them about it this morning, and they're so far in support of it.
Okay, so what's their take on these phones? They must see a lot of their friends starting to have them if they're 9 years old, or perhaps the kids in the top year of junior school.
Yes, they've got friends who've got phones, and I asked them about it, and they said, well, it just makes you feel funny. One of them said, you feel weird, you can't think properly when you're on a phone, and I think he was referring to the addictive nature of the mobile phone. And the other one said it stops you being creative. He said, you know, if you're on your phone, you're not being creative. You could draw a picture, write a story, play your guitar, and be with your family. So, yeah, they both seem to get it. We've talked a lot about mental health, and they both seem to understand, you know, how that's linked to smartphones and how smartphones are not good for your mental health.
Certainly sounds like you stand a chance of making it to 14 with them. I mean, what do you make of the smartphone-free childhood? Are you part of that? And that 4,000 children signing up to that with their parents who are at school in Sussex. That's quite a big number, isn't it?
Yes, I was so relieved when I saw this campaign because my biggest worry was that I didn't want my children to feel ostracized and left out. And if they're the only ones in school without a phone, it would be a really tough decision whether to give them one or not. But if everybody gets together, signs the pact, I've spoke to my children's friends' parents and told them about the pact. So they've all said, yes, we're going to sign it too. If we make it the norm that children don't have phones until they're old enough for their brains to handle it, then hopefully we all stick together, and that's the point of the pact. And it won't become an issue of peer pressure then, and it'll just be the norm that children don't have phones until they're old enough.
As they get towards, say, 11, 12, 13, start going out on their own, I mean, we did that growing up, didn't we, Amanda? Because there was no such thing as a mobile phone. So what about for their, the safety and being able to stay in touch with them? How much does that play on your mind?
Well, there are other ways kids can keep in touch with their parents. There are dumb phones, and I think tech companies are starting to realise that they need to make these products. So more and more will become available. Brick phones, dumb phones. You can get trackers that you can see where your children are. And I guess it's about, just like my parents did, build good relationships and trust with your children rather than tracking their every move and getting them to ring in every 5 minutes. But I must say, I am glad that mobile phones weren't around when I was a teenager, because I'm not sure my parents would have approved of everything I did, but I survived.
And also, there's no trail of it, of course, permanently online,
No,
is there, Amanda?
thank goodness.
Nice to speak to you. Thanks a lot for your time today, Amanda Walderman there. Laura Cameron from Brighton. Hello, Laura.
Hi there.
Hi, how old are your two?
So 6 and almost 8.
Right, so this is on your mind, obviously. And their school in Hove, they're doing a survey on the use of smartphones. Just tell us the kind of questions they're asking. What's the conversation around it?
Well, we've been talking a lot to our leadership team at the school, and we thought it would be good to work out how parents feel and what struggles they have with, taking a smartphone away from them completely. But so far, we're sort of seeing what we expected, which is most even primary school parents at our school are concerned about it, and they want help to stop all the horrible things that you've heard from various snippets in this on this station.
Do you think that there's a bit of regret with some parents that, with their children still in junior school, that they have let them have phones?
Yeah, I think it's quite hard because it's easy for me to say when my kids are younger, well, I'm going to sign this pact. But for what we're finding is that the parents of kids in like primary 5 and 6, it is harder for them because they might already have created that kind of norm that it's okay to have a smartphone. So it is much harder for them.
Especially if they see their parents on it. And I guess, in terms of the peer pressure, I mean, it used to be the wrong kind of trainers, didn't it? Maybe a bit more back in our day. And now it's, you don't have a smartphone? What kind of family have you got? Type thing. Can we change that thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what my hope is that the parent power that's happening, I think it's brilliant. And the more people that sign these pledges, the more that, the safer phone bills, an amazing thing to go through. I think these are all signals to the tech companies who know that these algorithms are addictive. They've created them in that way. And I think they will see that they don't really have a choice if they want, if they want children as their customer, they need to design a safer product. And I think they need to create something that's more exciting than what we frame as a dumb phone, because kids don't want a dumb phone. They want to be tech savvy, but I think we just haven't got it right yet. We're not protecting them.
The companies that are running the social media apps who make the phones, they've had plenty of time to address this and do something about it. Is your suspicion that actually I think that's quite good to get them hooked in early?
I think, if you watch, I don't know, like programs like social media, and also if there's lots of people who've designed these things who've admitted that they wouldn't let their kids on them. And we know ourselves as adults, it's extremely addictive. I think there's something like a stat of kids now is like equivalent of a part-time job. They have like 21 hours doom scrolling a week. So they know that they're designing these phones to be addictive for children and not protect them. Like, we wouldn't let our children out, a 9-year-old, to go and hang out with a bunch of 20-year-olds. That would just
in
be a
real
bit
life,
odd, like,
but on our phone.
in real life.
Yeah,
but on our phones, we're not being able to protect them from that. And I think these tech companies absolutely have the ability to do that. They just need to hear from parents, that's what you need to do now, take responsibility.
Laura, thanks a lot for chatting to us, and all the best with your two as well. Laura Cameron in Hove.